Uh, we give thanks to Almighty Allah who has guided us since last week to this moment. We pray in His infinite mercy may He be with us and be
Amen.
this make this training to be a beneficial one for us here in this life and tomorrow hereafter.
Amen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ino hata ino kalika usara. Kufari liro bika waniar. Ino shani aka walabda. Amen. Yeah, thank you for that short prayer. Welcome you all once again to today's training session. This is the fourth training session. Alhamdulillah, Rabbi Alamina, for Allah's grace to have that we started, Bismillah, and gradually we are pushing in the fourth episode. Thank God for His grace. Today we shall be discussing Islamic investment and portfolio management. We'll discuss what we mean by Islamic investment and by the time actually which investment complicated to portfolio, how do we manage it, how do we manage, and basically what we are doing is that we are managing risk, which is what Islamic finance entails, entirely. That whoever engages in Islamic actually finance activity with contract will manage risk, you share risk. That's why there is slogan that say Argomi Begomi, the higher the risk, the higher return, because Islamic finance doesn't want it where somebody will just transfer risk and the end of the day, somebody will transfer, will solely take only the benefits. However, Islamic finance says, let's trade together. We shall what Allah enjoys. Let's come together. Let us trade. Let's share risk. Let there be profit. If there is profit, we share. If there is loss, we share. So at the end of the day, we'll all be actually be happy. Alhamdulillah for today's session, and inshallah we'll proceed. Just starting from the outline, brief something within the time frame of 1.5 hours. I'll be able to actually itemize actually five things for us to actually discuss. And just like already I encourage us, I want it to be interactive so that it should not be one way. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Then starting from what do we mean by Islamic investment? Basically, if we are looking at Islamic investment, it goes beyond only Islamic capital market, but essentially most of these the things actually we are going to discuss today will be Islamic capital market, because we've had course to discuss what relates to Islamic banking, and we've had course to discuss what relates also to Takafu, which is Islamic insurance. And in the third aspect, if you recall the first lecture that we actually will discuss that the three fundamentals that we can actually break down, Islamic commercial finance into. I told you about Islamic commercial finance, Islamic social finance, and Islamic development finance. And the commercial finance, that's the area where we are discussing. We've discussed banking, we've discussed the contract, and we have actually discussed Takafu. We've seen different types, the corporate type, actually the group actually for individual and for assets. And now we want to, but when we are talking about investment, it's all encompassing all both Takafu and the rest. But basically, since we have discussed the two earlier, we'll dwell more on the capital market, and we'll also see how we actually relate as being actually manage risk and their returns. Okay, by just first to make about the definition that Islamic investment, otherwise known as halal investment, can be broadly defined as that investment that comply with Sharia, because everything must comply with Sharia, which is the foundation. And basically, what do you do when you comply with Sharia? You avoid all Sharia prohibitions, such as riba, usury, gara, excessive uncertainty, mixer, gambling, trading in prohibited items such as alcohol, pork, weapon. But you promote three things: profit and loss sharing mechanism, risk sharing, asset back. That is, must be asset back. Money is not it's not an asset, but just a medium of exchange. And you engage in ethical plus social responsible investing. because according to the Mokosi Sharia, which is the main objective for Sharia, which is masla, that is to create a better society where equity, justice, and fairness actually reign. And I mentioned that example include but not limited to the following. We could have actually Sukuk, which is part of the instrument in Islamic capital market. We have Islamic Mutual Fund, Exchange Traded Fund, and under Islamic banking, we have sort of investment, and we have Mudaraba, Islamic Equity Fund, and we have Takafu, among others. What states, what we could call actually, Islamic investments. And as we speak now, going by the record actually in the whole world, that Islamic investment now is going to close to, as our 2024 report, about 5.5 trillion dollar now that actually we have, and it is being projected by 2028 we should be talking about close to 8 trillion or 10 trillion, inshallah, because Islamic finance is being embraced by all and all, everybody, including those actually, including Muslim and every other faith. They've seen that it's an investment that's worth, going into, because to digress address, you actually recall that during COVID, when there was actually crisis actually in the whole world, which actually other economic activity, but Islamic finance, Islamic bank, they can withstand it. And what is the saving game? Just because activity, relate to real assets, that you can actually have assets actually on the ground, and you have backups here and there, so you could actually be able to. So they've seen that Islamic finance actually is very, very resilient, An example is COVID that just left. Even the same thing too during the world trade economic meltdown that happened in 2008. You see that the resilience being displayed by Islamic banks. So other people are now enjoying, joining here and there to make sure that they take a position as far as Islamic finance is concerned. Then going by the next lastly side is that what are the types of Islamic investment that we have? There are various types of investment options, as assets, because if that investment actually lead to what we categorize as actually assets, that will come on board, And I actually mentioned that just to give you an example, we have under Islamic banking, Mudaraba, and the rest. We have Sukuk, Islamic Equity Fund, Stock, Islamic Mutual Fund, Takafu, and the rest. And I try to for those that we've not mentioned before, for us to actually have an idea of what for Islamic banking, we already know what is happening. Takafu, we already know what the others that we are hearing for the first time, which relate to Islamic capital market. By definition, capital market is where you can actually, generate. Rather, you can source for fund there from actually the capital market, and can also invest. It doesn't involve banks. It involves stock exchange, and you have actually in Nigeria, those actually we have in Nigeria Stock Exchange. That is the trading arm, and as they are having the trading arm, we also have a regulatory arm which is called Security and Exchange Commission. Those are the ones that set the guidelines. It is as far as Nigeria is concerned, the Security and Exchange Commission are the one that they will have Sharia Advisory Committee that will be setting guidelines that Nigerian stock and the practitioners, all the actually investors and those operators, they must follow. As time goes, as we progress, we will see how this thing actually interplay. And Islamic Mutual Funds, just like I say, this is a Sharia compliant investment scheme that pulls funds from several individual or institutional investors. These pool funds are being managed by professional fund manager. What this actually is about mutual fund is actually that let me give actually an instance. Somebody, there are companies here. Okay, let me give you a specific instance in Nigeria is Lotus Capital before the form bank. Because they are the first pioneer non-interest investment actually vehicle in Nigeria before you even start registering banks and the rest. You started it. So what they do actually is that they will actually source from investors. But meanwhile, they already actually classify that product. What kind of actually product that people can actually invest in? For example, they can gather funds, you understand, use it to buy stocks, that are actually Sharia compliant. Because when we talk of stocks, we are talking about shares of company. But however, There are also Sharia screening, for those companies to ensure that those companies that they want to invest actually in, they actually meet Sharia criteria. You will see as time goes on that you see different category how they screen those particular shares. Not beyond the surface that will see that okay, as a if a Muslim is looking for a halal fund, you can't be investing in a conventional bank and say it's a halal fund because it violates Sharia principle, which is the area of actually ushru, because they deal actually with interest. So they put this fund together, and they now have different categories of investment portfolio which they actually manage. But because it's a mutual fund, you also actually mentioned that you can have 4 investment actually in a actually bucket. So they actually put everything together, and they now actually analyze. It can even be investment in real estate. It can be investment actually in shares. It can be in commodity and all something. They put together. But meanwhile, they will all the way they know performance of actually the mutual, the unit trust that you are going to actually buy is they will bring what is the market price multiplied by the number of actually investments actually they have there. When they actually have it, is there any cost relating to by way of actually to run this particular fund, maybe by professional managers fee or other expenses? By then they net it up, they now divide it, then they get whatever the amount, they now divide it by the number of investors that are there for them to determine what is the unit of that. It is true that the people now buy. Let's suppose you now give an instance that they invest in 4 products, and one product is 4 naira, the other one 2 naira. By the time they calculate actually the average, now divide by the total number of actually in stock actually they have divided actually by 20. But whatever they now have, now that okay, this particular something it's worth 2 naira. If you are investing, you can only for every 1 unit you want to buy from this mutual fund, it's worth is 2 naira. So if you now decide that I want to buy 100,000 or 100 what for, but you now only be paying 200,000 service the amount actually you want to actually to invest in. That's how it operates. But there are people that normally say they want to manage themselves, but it's better to give to professional because these are people that are trained and they are also being registered too. With both the Nigeria Stock Exchange and the Securities Exchange Commission. And since mostly on the Mudaraba basis, just like I've explained Mudaraba for us earlier, that when you give your money to a professional, nobody guarantee actually returns. Nobody guarantee actually keep capital for you, right? If you see record. But what will happen actually is that that professional must act ethical and must act actually according to the dictate of actually of his profession. So that if it's out of his negligence, that you are losing your money, according to Sharia, you are entitled to your capital. So such a person will be sanctioned. That's why you see Nigeria Stock Exchange and Security and Exchange Commission actually being involved. They will refer to such a person. He is sent to jail for disciplinary action. Actually, they want to withdraw his license and they will pay back. Then the second one was which is very common to will have seen actually in Nigeria. That's Sukuk. It's an investment actually vehicle. And by definition, I want us to adopt what I hopefully actually specified here as the definition of Sukuk. He said he defined that say this is asset-backed trust certificate. For every investment, just like even when we invest in money market product actually in the bank or something like that, whether Mudaraba actually fish fund or something like that, they give you a certificate as evidence of your investment that is going to actually to mature something like that. So, but because this one it is not the money that you are participating in a venture together as in a business. So that's I hope you now come up with a very concise, very detailed, that will accommodate that activity that you are actually doing, because you are investing in an asset, and by that asset you are the one that owns it. Yes, and that's technical something, because you are not giving the person actually a debt, giving the person actually a loan. Yes, you own that asset, but eventually later you can decide to say, I want to lease the something to the professional or give it to that actually person. You are not doing lease, you want to give the person later actually as by form of okay, let us partner together and be able to now work, so that at the end of the day It is that activity. That's why you see anything that is called Islamic finance, you always see that evidence that the real economy, there will be impact in the economy because we don't trade in money. So by Sukuk, say it's an asset-backed trade certificate, evidencing ownership of an asset or is usufruct. That is, by usufruct meaning that the earning, the benefits that come from that asset. Then according to our office said Sukuk are defined as certificate of equal value. I want you to note this, representing undivided shares in the ownership of tangible assets, usufruct, and services, or in the ownership of the asset of particular project or special investment activity. Basically, what this actually means is that by the time Sukuk is being issued and they want to actually to raise money actually through Sukuk, at that point, the investors, whatever the asset they are using that particular money to actually to buy, it is you investors that owns that particular asset. So it's total ownership. They don't divide it, but you just that you might actually be able to say, okay, I have bought, just like the last one that the federal government did that where they requested for, what was it this year? Okay, was it this year or last year? That was usually the seventh one that they requested for, I think it's early this year, that they requested for about is it 300 billion that they end up actually getting close to 1 trillion, because being oversubscribed. And basically, don't let me go to the explanation of Sukuk yet for us to be able to just for you to follow. Just have in mind that people come together, investors come together, investors that come together that invest in that Sukuk being issued, they own that asset. And I said, what would I say that for everything that concerns Islamic finance and Islamic and Sukuk especially must be asset back. You understand? You are not giving the person money. Whoever I want to just, it is the asset you are coming in. The last one we did actually in Nigeria. In fact, actually all the 7 Sukuk federal government has issued. You see those 7 to finance the infrastructure. You have seen most of this road being built here and there, and the contract being used under that company is the UCJARA, where investors actually after they paid for that particular asset, they are the one that own it. But because they don't have proficiency in be able to attention now, they now give to a special purpose vehicle, SPV. It has time for them to be able to manage for them, and they will now be collecting renters by way of profits every 6 months until the maturity of the Sukuk. So I hope I'm communicating. Salaam alaikum, are you with me?
Walaikum salam, sir. We are with you.
All right, thank you.
Alaikum salam, we are with you.
All right, thank you. So then on the third one, I mentioned Islamic equity funds, which is relating to actually to stock. But example I said, but it's not only stock, it's only just major that stock will mean shares. But there are other equity funds, because just like the mutual fund I explained to you too, it's also actually equity because you have you invested in shares, and that mutual fund that you have actually now becomes full of fund. Invariably, you are now actually investing, you now become, okay, what do you have in this mutual fund? What is your unit share? That will now represent your investment. So anytime you want to actually to break down, when they actually communicate to you, you say from this mutual fund, maybe they calculate it as a mutual fund A or B. Your worth of holding is so number, this number of equity you have. So that's what commercially, as far as that's mutual funds, that this is the number of actually equity you are holding. He said this relates to investment in the shares of Sharia compliant company. Equity financing is allowed by Sharia because it complies with its principles such as no fixed returns, as I mentioned earlier, based on profit and loss sharing, risk sharing, among others. However, there are other investment vehicles in the Islamic equity market too. They include Islamic exchange traded fund, Islamic rates. I mentioned the issue of actually traded fund. Actually, that okay, you just buy different kind of actually shares. That person will not be limited to that. Okay, for example, Dangote sugar. Sugar is not an haram. We invest in sugar. We also invest in Dangote cement. You want to flour meat, or do something. You now bring it together. That okay. For let's say the entire portfolio is say like 2 million, for example. okay, the investment manager decided to say, okay, you are the professional. That said that, okay, 400, let it go to Dangote Sugar. Let 500, let it go to flour mix. 200, let it go to cement, and then whoever is investing, you have actually a unit structure for that particular something you are investing. And if it's the second, the other one, we have actually Islamic rich. By rich mean real estate investment. By real estate investment, I think some of us have seen that, as well as those who have been seeing that in Nigeria, in Lagos, they are developing here and there. You see Lekki Assist, you see at you see actually at Ojota and the Assist. People are building houses. What they actually do is you see somebody even that now come across that, yes, these are investors actually opportunity. Is people buy to sell, people buy to rent. You understand? People different kind of actually stages. So, but if you are buying actually a unit from that particular rate, you have the opportunity. It might be that that particular company, let's say for example, it might be that they want to invest in the building of say this building that is at let's say for NNPC building, assuming it was done by through Islamic actually estate actually investment management. I say okay when they raise money, it's not that government built it, for example. So that's a very big building. Ordinarily, you and I might not be able to say, how do you want to get money to be able to? But because by engaging in Islamic real estate actually investment, you have opportunity to buy a unit. If they divide that, okay, the minimum unit you can buy actually is 10,000, and from the money you have actually invested, you invested at 1 million. Then the portfolio manager actually can decide that okay, from the people that are renting that place, they are paying higher rent. Okay, part of my investment that I'm going to get actually from this actually portfolio actually is that let's put part of our investment, 50% of it there. Then the rest, let us use it to invest in small other estate manager that are building estates and the rest, because that place is an office complex. Investment manager actually may be telling us returns come because an office regularly than the one from the house. That's why people actually even don't want to even assume where they will be collecting rent. They want to assume where let us sell off so that our money will come on time, so that we won't be able to follow up. So, but through participating in REITs, you have opportunity of investing in big, real estate, and still have the opportunity in investing, because everything will be put together and they now calculate actually the next asset value concerning it. So we should actually come under that. Then I said beyond the equity financing abiding to Sharia guidelines, the company had to be screened. I mentioned earlier too that every company, as far as Sharia is concerned, Islamic finance is concerned, they must be screened to make sure that they comply with Sharia principle. And because our fuqahas and the scholars, they discovered that there are certain Islamic finance started. We are just celebrating 50 years this year now, because the first bank actually was Dubai Bank. That was 1975. They started it, but there has been a practical something that Rasulullah started, but just as real, corporate Islamic finance officially started in 1975. But meanwhile, traditional banking has started since. Professional investment has started since. So scholars, professionals, they realize that the importance of that to an extent, one way or the other, even people that are tending towards Islamic finance now, they are one time, engaged in conventional finance. So let's just have a screening procedure that will have a few tolerance. So you as time goes on, you will see how that particular actually operates. You see the screening method. What do they allow? Why do they allow 3% of certain amount? You say, okay, if your investment, your capital that you are relying on, what relates to riba or any other thing that's not compliant Sharia, so long as it's not more than 3%, we can allow it. So that the rule of actually investment, 66%, 7% is still a majority. What will happen is still actually majority number. When we take a unit of 1, You understand? And we're having 6.7 or something like that. It's still actually, taking the majority that built now. Then the other one, now say, I produce that the company that have mixed both halal around being mixed together. As time goes on, you will be able to see, because you don't want to where Islamic finance will not be able to operate at all. They have to recognize that conventional banking has started years back. People have been engaging actually in interest. Also, you see all this capitalized, all this world, America and the rest, UK and everything. This is what they've been engaging in until Islamic scholars were able to come together and everything, and they come up actually with a corporate Islamic finance, which is, and it was even banking that started before Islamic capital market. It was banking that started that 1975. So as time goes on, you will see actually the interplay, those screening methodology. But beyond, let me just give you a few explanations. I said beyond equity financing according to Sharia guidelines, the company had to be screened for Sharia compliance and Sharia filters. That is screening methodology. Methodology are being proposed to screen both their nature of business. What kind of business does that company actually engage in, and what is there in their financials? At least, some of us actually one way or other, when we talk of financials, without talking that what is there in their assets, what is there in their earning, but what nature, what actually they doing. Islamic finance, for example, you can't buy share of Nigerian breweries as a Muslim. That's not the shares, it's not Sharia compliance, because it's not allowed at a glance. There are some that will actually make sure, that will be able to now, build together. Then the need for Sharia evaluation of stock and subsequent identification of Sharia compliance stock has led to the development of those screening criteria, filters, indices, Sharia compliant ETF, and the rest. You see, as time goes on, how they operate. Then, in a brief discussion, Malaysia, as if I hope we know a country called Malaysia, and basically it's about 2 years difference that Nigeria had its independence about the same time. And if I'm not mistaken, Malaysia should be in 1957 that they had independence, and Nigeria had independence in 1960. But meanwhile, when we want to say the financial hub of Islamic finance, actually now, it's actually in the whole world, the state of others such as Saudi is there, the GCC country and everything. But Malaysia actually is because that's why they have the same terrain just like Nigeria, but they started like Islamic finance, earlier, and they did not shut down the Islamic. They did not shut down the conventional one, but they just make sure that there are guidelines for the conventional one, and there are also guidelines for the Islamic finance actually one. They are the first country that come up with, that was actually 1999. They are the one that come up actually with filters, screening, procedure. How do you want to screen a particular company to ensure that they comply with actually that company, both their product and their financials, comply with what we expect actually as Sharia principle is concerned, and subsequently we see start seeing some company, that is individual company, private company coming up. That's why we will see that we will discuss just actually two, the one that came after immediately after Malaysia actually did come up with their own index, in 1999. Before the end of that year too, you will see that Dow Jones, the Dow Jones actually is a publisher, he's a publisher of Wall Street Journal. They also introduced their Dow Jones Islamic World Market Index, instead of actually criteria. And it actually also as part of global index for Sharia compliance stock. In fact, by the time I will show you a particular slide to compare 2 or 3 of those screening actually indices. You see where Malaysia to an extent recognize that now not to shut down Islamic finance for them to compete with allow some things, don't do their own, because he said, well, this is what their own understanding is. Their own is even more strict here. They come up with strict guidelines to ensure that yes, this company, if you can actually meet this criteria, that is the only way, that is the only period people will go to invest in your company to show that you are Sharia compliant. Actually, you have Sharia compliant stock. And I said both the Sharia Advisory Council, I've mentioned actually earlier, we mentioned during that we were discussing the issue of actually bank. As far as Nigeria is concerned, abroad, Malaysia and everything, we have Sharia Advisory Commission. But in Nigeria, I mentioned the issue of advisory committee of experts, and we have set up that's in banks that exist in bank, and we have phrase that financial regulatory, advisory committee of experts. That's what maintain the CBN. You see them as an icon and under Takafo and the rest. Those are the ones that see that they instead of calling them Sharia, advisors, because Nigeria, you understand that some people are actually sensitive when they hear this issue of Sharia, because they don't actually people do not have greater understanding about it. So, but federal government recognizing that this is a secular state, Malaysia too is also a secular state, but because of understanding of the people actually on the ground, it doesn't become pose an issue. But peculiarity of Nigeria, so anything that will resort to noise, that will now lead to an economic project that will benefit all, is being stampeded. So they put, other semantic that will say, okay, this is what I think they represent. Our phrase here in that committee of experts, they understand that we have is the same thing as Sharia Advisory Commission Council that we have in Malaysia, So, and where they have a Sharia Advisory Committee in banks, so we also have ACE, Advisory Committee of Experts as far as Nigeria is concerned. So that people just, these are the experts for them to advise, and make sure that Islamic finance is being done as supposed to do. I said they identified two broad categories: line of business and the core finances. Specifically, let's look at how much interest-based borrowing is in their capital structure. You see, actually, a company, there are two ways. Let me first mention before we go further. Two basic ways of a company to generate actually money. You either get money for your company to trade either through equity, or you get it actually through debt. So under science, we want to see that how much of those capital do they get actually through debt. Not that people actually come and invest, put money there in that particular company, and they are earning. You see a particular company now, just like when Dangote come and Dangote will say they call them, say Dangote Group, when they want to do their financial. When you are pretty group, well, the screening method will need to bring out from this your group that want to say, okay, what's everything now? How much of which one is related to interest bearing? You understand that Sharia is prohibited before we can say, okay, that stock is compliant or not for us, for as a large investment. Okay. So basically, I purposely bring this one out because I'm always mindful of the kind of audience actually I have for people to see what is the basis of that particular screening. In a nutshell, I just bring this one out actually from an article for us to be able to see that what are the parameters that I mentioned the broad guideline category they normally actually have those the ones Sharia Advisory Committee, Council of Malaysia, and the Dow Jones, the two we are comparing for now. What is the company line of business? What is the company finances? They will now under the company line of business. It's very easy. We have a company that this company basically is that what is dealing with is only sugar. Such a company will come under its product is allowed. Fine. The next one, Nigerian Breweries, his product is Aramu. We just knock it off instantly that this one does not comply with something. Then what of the company that we now have mix, part of Aram, part of Alad, they will now take our lens, take the Sharia screening lens for us to be able to sieve it out. How much of this one, the one that's around there is inside that particular mix? Is it tolerable amount? You understand? Is it within the tolerable level? You will see the something. So that's why I've shown you this slide for us to be able to do to have a graph of it. Then I went further, understand, for you to see how does the Security Commission that is the one that represents Nigeria Stock Exchange and exchange control, Nigerian Security and Exchange Commission that we have in Nigeria. You understand? Because these are the control, the regulatory aspect. let me just clarify so that we're able to actually to get it actually right. For every company, for Sharia operation, whether it be bank, capital market, we have operators and we have the players. Yeah. So over there they have security commission, and they now have those that control it, that control them as a Sharia Advisory Council. Yes, so that make sure that they set the guidelines to be able to see what the operator is doing, so that at the end of the day, to make sure that investors are not being bamboozled or being cheated, to make sure that they have actually what is value for money, there is equity, there is fairness, and there is justice. The same thing also in Nigeria. We have Nigeria Stock Exchange where we see that all these shares are being traded and everything. So you see all these something actually be there. So, but meanwhile, as we have Nigeria Stock Exchange, we have Security and Exchange Commission. Those are the regulator. Just like we have banks and we have central banks that control them to make sure that they comply. I brought this one actually out for us people to actually to see. They have a particular methodology, and they now actually say, okay, let's adopt few changes for us to make sure that yes, from time to time, people are not the income that is being earned from a large company are not being polluted. Before, I said if you look at this particular screen I'm explaining to you, you understand? So you have from the previous methodology, when you look towards the right side, it says the first stage screening is focused on activity of the company to determine the non-permissible activity, if any. The second stage screening, mixture of activity the company should undergo, right? So the now come actually, you can see that under their contribution and assessment, you compute the contribution of the non-permissible activity and compare with the group turnover and the group profit before tax. That is as the benchmark actually used. Look at actually the first actually inside. They said whoever, when you look at what's everything now, that okay, as far as the profit is concerned, if you look at they show us that okay, the first thing, contribution of the non-permissible activity. That is, let's say for example, a particular company now, it says there is a group. What is the income that is coming from that particular part of that particular activity? What is the contribution, to the group, to the bottom line? I give an example of a Dangote group. Dangote group now, let's say for instance, even has an conventional bank inside. Okay, they now say they form a group. Meanwhile, we have sugar, we have cement, and all this something that does not like. So we now put Sharia screening actually to it. The bank that is that group, what is the percentage contribution of this earning? As a profit that is coming from that particular one, we put that. What is the percentage? We now see that okay, based on the turnover that is coming from the bank that Dangote has, so what is it? It cannot be more than 5%. If you want to for that Sharia called for the company called Dangote Group, for somebody that believe in halal investment, before that person can invest in it, that contribution by way of actually turnover, should not be more than the 5%. Then the next one, the common actually is that from the group profit, it is the banking tool which is part of the group. Can't have actually a profit that is more than 20%. So if it's more than 20%, that means the income has been tainted, it has been polluted. So it's not such a group, it's not being Sharia compliance. They come up with, with that, that's what we need to see, what they have before and they have now. And they now went further, for them to go to the real activity, they say, what is the percentage of that cash to total assets? When you look at the bank, any balance sheet of any company, be it bank or any company, they have an asset. And you have assets, we have current and non-current assets. And we have actually, we have the liquid asset and we have the total assets as part of it. So we now look at how much from that their assets, let's even check from that asset they have together, how much is cash? You understand? From what they actually, they have lent from somebody, how much is cash? that is actually being is part of what they have there. They say, that cash they have compared to total asset you introduce should not be more than 33%, right? Then when the company say total asset related to debt too, debt to total asset too must be lower than 33%, because the company might say, Islamic Bank is not funding our activity, or they could not fund us. We have gone to conventional bank to go and actually be able to now raise money for us to actually do a particular project and everything. Okay, we'll now push Sharia screening, we'll put the lens actually on it. How much is it? That's everything now concerning your asset that you have, concerning actually your debt. Once it's more than 33% of your total assets, you say, excuse us, this particular company, this stock is not Sharia compliant. In essence, it's for us to just to be able to advise people, not only Muslim, we have Muslim and Christian and other people that believe in halal investments. They don't want to be polluted. And just like I already said, scholars, fuqahas, and the rest, they come out because they appreciate one thing, that before Islamic finance came to existence, conventional banking practice has been in existence for years. So hence, they have some degree who actually allowed. You see that from time to time, by the time Islamic finance is now being deeply rooted, you see all these benchmarks, gradually they will be reducing them. They will be reducing them. But just starting, something that just 50 years, compared with something that has been in existence for over 300 years and the rest, for us to be able to meet. So that's why you have to, okay, maximum tolerable level that we can allow. And you now see, under qualitative assessment, you see that the image of the company, the company, they want to also look at, say, okay, what is that image company? For example, the Dangote Group, for example, for them to actually to consider it, okay, does this company have a good image? Yes. Okay, from the cement, they are assisting people that want to build. From the flowers, they are contributing to the economy. People are used to get money to buy their flower. From their flower, they buy noodles, buy indomie. Apart from the noodles, other products that are consumer goods, but people actually are used to it, they contributed. Then after you look at, okay, the company has a good perspective, which is part of that you are considering. Then also, to what extent does the company engage in corporate social responsibility? You understand? To what extent do you actually allow justice, equity, you understand, and actually fair play? What you actually by way of actually their customary activity they do, you understand, the masla, better society. And see Dangote at times he says he's building road, he's giving people charity. Actually at times he said, okay, part of his money he set aside that these are the zakat we are paying out of it. These are the part of criteria that the Sharia screening body will look at to ensure that yes, this company is contributing, So, and those are the why they will be able to now look at, okay, the other one where you see part of their money, we are allowing at 3% of the money they are going to go and borrow at the bank. But once it's more than that, out of their total assets, you say, excuse us, the lens say no, not, and they know the implication. What they just do is just for them to go and reduce that particular amount of something, and I approach Islamic Bank to say, okay, want to give us, this particular difference as you want to use it to invest in a particular where they want to buy a machine, or they want to use their equity, their own money to buy it there, because it can't be in their books that they are having more than 3%. So actually, this is what operates as far as Malaysia actually is concerned for it. But you see later, we are trying as much as possible to compare like 2 to 3 Sharia screening methodology together for us to be able to see basic difference, so for us to be able to appreciate. I went to that for us to appreciate that when they say Sharia, so that Sharia screening will not look very abstract. You will have seen at least the company that there are other I think when Nigeria now is up to 4 or 5 capital, what we call it, Islamic investment company that will have mutual fund manager and the rest. Lotus allowed started first. Now we have what is this? We have about 3 or other 4. There are 5 now, but let's just stay from there. They come up. You should be able to talk how do they carry out their in the investment they want to put your money. When they say they have fixed income mutual fund and everything, as an investor, you can ask them what constitutes this your mutual fund. What are those companies? Yes, can I see the certificate that they meet Sharia compliance? Because so that someone will not be out of desperation, But Lotus actually I said earlier, out of desperation to say, we want people to come and actually invest us and everything. So when they see that you are also eligible for you to make inquiry, and customer that you also want to introduce, you want to be able to talk professionally that this is the way they screen. These are what should be, so that people to now, whoever you are introducing, will also see you as a professional, that you have an idea of what operates, how they bring this investment together, this portfolio together, and the kind of investment you want to be seeing inside it. So that's why I brought this on. Let's look at the next slide that shows, I try as much as possible, to bring down the one that they also have about 3 to 4, Can you see this slide as well? I would.
Yes, sir, we are with you, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Counselor. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, you can hear me good. All right. So you see that here you see.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. This thing you are showing is kind of blur, sir.
Okay, you cannot see it.
Clearly, it's not showing clearly, sir.
Okay, well, I've said that because I don't want to show where I will remove the part of it, because I actually copy it from an article, but I just want you people to appreciate. Okay, maybe by the time I send the slide, because I try to actually enlarge it, and I've enlarged it to the maximum of the page now, So, and this is the maximum of the page that I've expanded it for us to be able to now see the comparison. Let me see whether I can do it further. Let me see whether I can see open it further. I have to block what is up too, so that what we are going to be seeing will just be those items that are being considered. Is it better now? Is it better?
It's better now, sir.
All right, thank you. Yeah. All right. The first item that is that you see on the headline, you see business sectors. Then I mentioned to you earlier when I was discussing that of Malaysia, that after Malaysia, the first private company, that come up with the index is the one by USA publisher of Wall Street Journal. Yes, Dow Jones. It come up with Dow Jones Islamic Market Index as this basis of actually, assessing Sharia compliance stock. We have Standard and Poor's too. They come up with Sharia Index. We have Bursa Malaysia Sharia Index. That's Bursa Malaysia. That is the one that comes with from the Security Commission. Then we have Financial Times. Financial Times stock exchange too. They come up with their own index too. And we have MSCIT Islamic Index series. So I just say for us to appreciate, to see if you see the 5 together, we now see area of where certain index will be flexible here. The other one will, because they appreciate that Islamic finance is starting after conventional has started several years. Okay, first one, starting from business sector, they say alcohol. Dow Jones prohibits alcohol. Standard and Poor's prohibits alcohol. But in Malaysia, because of what they combine and do to now, they have actually confessionals and everything. They say, well, so long that the business that you are actually have, like, okay, what you percentage contribution of the alcohol activity is not more than 5%. You understand? It's allowed, right? Then you now see for the Financial Times, you have South Africa, you see that no, because they are not actually the up and everything. So it's prohibited outrightly because, and MSI too, they say they prohibited once it's alcohol, the no-go area. Then the second item of actually screening, they have adverts, media, news channels, sport and the rest. Normally have okay. Don Jones, because entertainment. I hope we were actually aware that all these entertainment, everything now, Islamic Sharia to an extent because of what other advertisements normally come that will be bringing pornography and all those something, that will even distracting some people from prayer. Yes, all those something. Why the basis why they said under Sharia they are not actually allowing their prohibiting. Is what that's the company is engaging with. Why some will just say, if what they are actually doing actually is that it doesn't come up with pornographic, what is coming up actually is something very educative. So you can be able to do that. Okay, you allow such a company, just like we have Islamic channels too, actually in Saudi and the rest. You won't see pornography, you won't see all those something. It's something that do to educate and so you see, their screens, the way they allow it. Okay, Financial Times talk at everything. They take their own as far as that. Okay, they are okay with that participant. Then as far as MSI, I say okay, but subject to 60%. What comes the income from that particular mixed company must not be 60%. But when I not talk actually, a colonial company, to actually eliminate that you see what is being done there, you don't come up with your own ingenuity. You also just to actually emulate what others are doing. Though Jones say prohibited, Standard & Poor's is not available. They don't even consider it at all. Virtually all others too do not consider it. The conventional financial services, where it has to do with Islamic conventional bank, you see that Dow Jones say prohibited, Standard & Poor's prohibited. Then as far as security commission in Malaysia, they say 5% for conventional banking practice. That is, so long as what is coming is not more than 5%. From that end, you can see the background where they are starting actually from, because they know that as we realize that they are the have that most of these Islamic bank that are coming on board, or whether Islamic finance something outfit they are coming on before, most of them are carrying out conventional banking practice before. So because of that, so they need to come up with something very flexible, and gradually they will be reducing it until when they see that yes, Islamic finance too has come of age. So it has to be zero tolerance and no tolerable level. And you can see those actually are not something they say prohibit. Then gambling and gaming, you see that Don Joe say prohibited, Standard & Poor's prohibited. Then in Malaysia, you say 5% allowed. Then you see other Financial Times and the rest prohibited. Work related, you should see the same pattern. It's only in Malaysia that they say 5% of it actually is being allowed. I appreciate that. Okay, yes, they are just coming up and all do something. Then adult entertainment, that is showing pornographic, non-Sharia, showing non-Sharia compliance entertainment, adult, the rest, adult film say prohibited, but Malaysia actually recognize that so long as what is coming from such a company is not more than 5%, of whatever they actually are earning. Actually they allow it and all those something, where we have a mixed company. Then for tobacco, you see the same trend. Other provisions, you see Security Commission of Malaysia allow 5%. Then the public image, you see public image, others did not have it, but Malaysia specified that the public image is very, very, very important, because to show that does the company engage, is it arming people or is it following Sharia, Makosi Sharia, of what, because that is what is informing why the security actually Sharia screening body in Malaysia are giving consultation of allowing not much more than 5% in certain actually products and everything. But what is the perception, the public image? What is the masla effect? Is it a company that is promoting justice, equity? Yes, sir. And is it contributing? Is it creating a better society? Yes, sir. They say it's not negotiable. Very, very, very important. Where others is not even, which is what you actually are used as criteria for them to allow the previous one. And meant to mention, masla, very, very important. But public image was very, very important. People will be able to say, yes, this company, they are not doing very well and is contributing to the betterment of society. You know, they will now where we have destructive armament, something that can actually can harm people. Say no, everybody say prohibited. You say we don't even have to allow it at all. Then hotel, you see that Don Jones say no, it's prohibited. Senator and Paul say okay, well, okay. But meanwhile, you see Malaysia say permissible because it's not hotel. You see certain actually not hotel that they allow, women of easy virtue, or they allow sale of alcohol, like in Saudi. If you have gone to Umrah before Hajj, it's your hotel that people for hospitality, but people say, and they would have put it right from your coming on there. No pornography film, no women of easy virtue. That's why whoever wants to come as a visitor, as you are coming whether for Hajj or Umrah, you have your madam. That is your person that is actually that is guiding you, and they will say that as far as alcohol is not allowed, we will have started. So all those conditions, just like we will see also in the north. If you have been to some part of the north here, you will see that most of their hotels they will have put it there. They comply with Sharia. Don't bring any alcohol. You understand? Unless this bar something come and arrest you instantly. Don't bring women of easy virtue here. You understand? And it's just for you just to lodge. They use for people that come on for visiting instead of going to go and stay in the house of the host, so they can accommodate them, just like the way what happened to Saudi too when we go for Hajj or Umrah and see the rest are there, So I see that okay, under trading of gold and silver as cash on the deferred basis. You understand? Okay. Because ordinarily, as far as Sharia is that it should be spot when you want to deal with cash or deal in gold. It should not be so that it won't be as if that it now turn to debt. You understand? So, but it should be that cash and carry. But people that are using what we call under Islamic finance, we call money, that I can go and deposit my gold. You understand? And now say, okay, I don't want you to sell it to, right? I need money now. I'm not selling, but I'm expecting money in a month's time. All those something like that. So definitely actually, my gold actually as but I will now go and actually, I'll come and collect it back. I'll do something now. So then also we have non-allowed food, as the case may be that once the food is not allowed, something like that. How much of that? But that does not mean that the Muslims or people believe that they are allowed to come and take from those all those people. Just see that company, those companies who are mixed company, that activities are mixed. We have both haram and we have both actually allowed. So this is where this allowance actually be able to come in. But not that Muslim must participate or people that believe in allowed investment should participate that, but just say looking at the group that mixed company are together, so that's what they are considering. So I want to show you the remaining ones so that before we go to the next slide, we'll discuss public image, trading in gold. They will now come down to issue of the interest income from the conventional account, and the instrument they have. They say, well, the income must not be more than actually maximum of 5%. Then if they are, in stockbroking business, you understand, and they say, okay, the money in part of what they are trading that they also, get it from conventional bank, where we have mixed company as a group, no more than 20%. Then the rental received from the Sharia non-compliance activity that you engage, no more than 20%. Just for you to appreciate that there are various screening criteria. You understand that this one will allow, this one will not allow. This is the essence of this side. So I want us to be able to, at any point in time, to be able to talk as a professional and be able to now, inshallah, will also advise this slide to you so that we able to now see that with the little that we are able to discuss, you'll be able to discuss outside professionally that when you're talking that these are the company that we can invest it, and everything. When you look at Lotus products, their flyer, you'll be able to say, this is how they have screened, and you'll be able to even advise customers, advise the would-be investors. This is the way they screen, because some will say, because some people will say, Islamic bank, we did not even see the difference between them and the conventional one because they do. But when we talk to them as a professional, with all these details, that we discussed in last 4 weeks, and with what we discussed today, you'll be able to actually convince them this and that. And it's just a matter of whoever you are introducing to that particular organization to come and invest, you go to that organization and get their flyer, be able to now engage them professionally. All this talk, let me see your screening method, what do you to clear, so that by the time you are marketing that person, you can ask, tell that person with authority, yes, that this particular company they are investing your money in, actually those that give actually fixed income. When you do not invest directly in Dangote, yes, and if you want to invest directly in Dangote sugar, but you just see that from the product, Dangote does see here, but you now look at you now look at how much Dangote sugar itself has it gone to conventional bank to go and raise money. How much of that their money of that they have in their balance sheet that is actually due to interest, it's not more than that. So that screen will be able to guide, that you don't just look at the company say, it's Dangote sugar. Look at their finances too as well. So when with this now, you'll be able to approach the company and be able to market, this Islamic assets professionally, from this little explanation that's why I've gone into the trouble to bring out this something so that we'll be able to talk and So the next thing we want to discuss is portfolio management. All what we have been discussing, we've been discussing about investment this, investment that. I went to the Sharia screening. How do they come up with those particular instruments that we are investing in? Then the next thing is that now as a professional manager, how do you now manage the series of assets we have together? We are the one we refer to as portfolio. How do you now be able to now manage them? You understand? But beyond the issue of Sharia screening, there are periods that one particular asset will outperform all the other ones. Let's say, for example, I say, okay, now go to cement you. This is during dry season, more people will be building. So during that period, cement will sell more. You understand? When cement will sell more, so because cement will sell I say, so definitely Dangote will have more money to, the profit they will make will be more because more people will be coming to them. So, and from the profit they make, you that is investing in their company too, by the time they are distributing their dividend at the end of the year, you have something now. So your manager will also consider that during that period. So by the time he actually is allocating, from the portfolio you want to do, let's put more during this period. Let's say Dangote cement, more cement, people will buy more cement because they are building, or maybe there's government policy that actually come like, okay, yes, more money will come so that we'll be able to make more returns. Okay, this particular one is going to during season. During that period, people will not Dangote if they are not taking once their fixed cost, which they've already bought a very big machine that now amortize the cost over a period of time. And meanwhile, people are not buying this. So production is not much. So at that point in time, they might give dividend or not give dividend. During the rainy season. So as a portfolio manager, you should be able to actually analyze that risk. Yes, and balance that particular risk and analyze which one will perform more, which one will not. So that at the end of the day, it's all this something you will combine together and to determine the unit price and the performance. That just like, let me give you a practical example now. As a student, maybe you are actually at the university or everything, and you enter for 4 or 5 courses. If you have A in one, and the one of which you went to go and have actually in E or something like that. By the time they calculate your cumulative weighted average, the other one you have E or you fail, you will bring down your GDP now, right? So that's exactly what you operate. And I say, okay, and the portfolio manager is that professional, that put the funds together and is managing that risk to you. And there are instances where you would have given the person, say, this is my benchmark. Any investment you want to do, once you see that my capital is going down beyond this something, or I cannot get that, I don't invest in, based on those benchmarks, and then you now advise that this is what you need to do, and then because you call yourself a professional and you'll be getting a fee for it, so you should be able to now, manage these assets effectively and efficiently well. By definition, I said this can be defined as that process involving balancing the risk associated with particular assets with the performance of that asset in order to maximize return within the stable risk to you as a manager or an assistant. because you sit down at any point in time to be able to now say, yes, my customer who is an investor, I say, well, I call myself a fund manager. He has said this is the benchmark based on the performance before. Because once you want to invest, you make sure that you don't go and invest money in highly volatile something. You might be just at the new ventures. We say, okay, for example, oil. When they are selling petrol something and people are bringing this company that actually that the something will be using gas. Yes, they bring those actually vehicle and it's actually new. People will be cautious in putting their money there when they call for actually for investment, because they know that that company will be able to last long. It's just coming new. So as an portfolio manager, you'll be cautious. So those are the kind of strategic thinking you'll be doing, because you can't afford, once you lose, if your customer loses money, that's such a person, customer will not come back to you. So this is the art of portfolio management. And when I say portfolio manager is that act of selecting and overseeing a group of investments that meet the long-term financial objective and risk tolerance of a client, company, or an institution. But you sit down at any point in time, keep on analyzing the risk, the performance of that particular asset to make sure that you maximize the returns, which is your objective. And you should be able to carry out SWOT analysis. You understand? This particular asset that we have on strategy, what is the strength? That's what I mean by the SWOT. What is the strength? What is the weakness? What is the opportunity and what is the threats? With this team of investment that are brought together, it is your responsibility, as a portfolio manager, to make sure that all this assessment has been done. And there are various types that we can actually be able to now actually assessing. But generally this is what portfolio management is, because all those assets you bring together. Then I say there are various types. The first one, active management. There are some that at any point in time, the person is strategy is that you are actively hopefully from the activity you want to actually to do, if I buy for my client, it's going to make more money from here. You are buying and selling securities, because company actually you at any point in time you are getting financials, you are sniffing, you at times that you dash to that company, what activity are they doing? What is the prospects? Based on the they know want to expand more. But that expand more, is there a market for it? So you start thinking strategically to make sure that at the end of the day you maximize returns. And instead you will have even set up a benchmark for you when you are carrying out an active management. You say it's a strategy of where portfolio manager actively buy and sell in attempt to outperform the benchmark. You use a particular sector over another one. You can say, the way Islamic finance is coming up, if I buy share of Islamic bank, is going to do better than this conventional bank, because conventional, just like at the moment now, you see that some of the conventional bank actually are in the area of this area of actually transactional banking, transferring money. You understand? So you see that because people are saying that when they will transfer money now, maybe next day or 2 days after, before you be able to see that money. You understand? You now see an Islamic bank, you understand, who is now using the platform of another actually an IT company that is very fast. Assuming that, let's say for example, like OPay now, assuming OPay actually is under that their activity, they don't collect any interest bearing loan from anybody, everything is being owned by one Islamic bank. You understand? So definitely when you have the stock as a professional manager, you have the stock of such an Islamic bank. So, with this, even the money alone they will be making from payments they are doing from the gateway, you see that they will be making money. All these Islamic banks are people now, from the performance of the sukuk, we've seen that a lot of people are now participating in Islamic bank, Islamic transaction, and everything. Look at the way sukuk was oversubscribed. All the 7 issuances. The least one was the first issue 2017 was just that was the one that just about 11%. Subsequent one, 100%, 400%, 800% over subscription, that they are now even returning people's money back. So I say, yes, this company actually will do well. So because as a professional, as a portfolio manager, yes, continue to be active. Yes, no. We must invest actually in this kind of Islamic bank so that really returns, more returns will come to my client. Then the passive one is here you have that somebody just say, I've already seen the result, the performance of this particular company, and then it's like I'm okay. You understand? You are just replicating the performance of that benchmark index. That yes, so you don't want change. So we want to be taking more risk. You have seen that benchmark that it's manageable, and I think I'm okay. I don't want a portfolio manager that will be buying this, buying that, and everything and that. What's at the end of the day? The other one that I feel like something happened with that particular company and they did not perform very well, then we have portfolio optimization that you are the best of selecting the best asset allocation based on investor constraint and you start to okay, how do I actually my portfolio, to optimize it to get to the best. That's okay. They are giving you options. This one do everything. You're in the process of that, selecting the best one so that you will give comfort. Come rain, come shine. You know that good returns will come down for you. Then, in order before we end this something, we discuss portfolio management, everything. I specifically went actually for us to see how Sukuk works the operation. You say this is a fixed income investment in Islamic finance. I mentioned you. I choose Sukuk because one, there's no way you can talk of Islamic capital market in Nigeria that will not mention Sukuk, because there are other equity actually portfolio that has come, but Sukuk in the last 7 years, close to 8 years now, has generated more money to us. You understand? From than other actually Islamic investment, and that's way of actually all the sovereign Sukuk that federal government has issued. Let me use the opportunity to define. I've defined what Sukuk is actually. That's a investment certificate and asset back, represent an unequal actually share in the ownership of an asset. You already know, and they have different contracts. Sukuk can be in Jara, can be under Mujaraba, can be under Muraba, but most common one use is Ijara. And specifically, what Nigeria also uses too, because federal government also realize that there is infrastructural gap. We do not have enough roads and all those something. And they say if they go and borrow money from banks, you start talking about 35% actually interest and all something. They want to borrow from IMF and all those something, with all their condition and so let's raise this money locally, and they see that because people have appetite to it. I told you they've raised 1.4 trillion now in dollars in the last 7 to 8 years, because the first one was issued in 26 September 2017. If I'm actually not mistaken, 26 or 24 September was issued. While the last one was just issued actually, towards the end of actually last year. And you can see that basically it has always been oversubscribed, from the previous situation actually we have. And some of us actually go, okay, how does Sukuk actually operate? In a nutshell, the way Sukuk operates is that, let's say for example, that of Nigeria. I said all other contracts that we have under Islamic finance, we also have them also as far as Islamic capital market, maybe Mudaraba, Ijara, and the rest. But the one that has been practically being used as far as Nigeria is concerned is Ijara. First, as a professional that just coming on board, the first, beyond the federal government Sukuk that was issued, the first government that first issued Sukuk in Nigeria is Osun State. Yes, and the first using actually their Sukuk. That was 2013. I know then that was during Aregbesola. Then he want to quickly he want Osogbo, then Osun State to meet Lagos, in a hurry. Now see that what entice people to Lagos is because of infrastructure. You see investors coming here and there, they want to do something. And I said, okay, all this road too, how do you want to build it to make sure that once we have all those roads, we have schools being built, we have big supermarkets. So all these investors that crowd themselves actually in Lagos, they should be able to come down to Osogbo now. So that was then he actually engaged actually in the first Sukuk. He built roads, bridges, and then create infrastructures to entice investors. But I think maybe because of the distance, no seaport, and they get the distance between Lagos and maybe that was why most investors did not come out. But that was the concept there. Then come 2017, the federal government now issued their own force sovereign sukuk. Let me first define, we have two types of sukuk. We have sovereign one, that is the one that's being issued by the government. That's what they call sovereign. And we have corporate one, that is issued by a company. Then also we can now divide each of them, whether sovereign or corporate one, divide into domestic one or international one. Domestic one is that whatever you issue in your currency is the one domestic one. When you issue in foreign currency, is what actually called international. And those of you that have been following the news, you know that was it on last week, about 2 weeks ago, the federal government of Nigeria have launched the first international sukuk, $500 million. It's time for them to actually to finance infrastructure, and as far as Nigeria is concerned, $500 million. They go actually up for it to be good to now raise money, but as in Nigeria too, you can invest if you have the dollar, and the rest, So that was the first international. But most countries will always prefer that they should domestic one, so that whoever bring their dollar or everything, they have no choice. Through certificate of capital importation, that dollar or pounds you brought into the country must be converted to your local currency, which is naira, that you want to use to buy. So when you look at this, the way this fixed investment actually comes, you see that say, okay, this diagram, that the first one you see is, just like a sales rep explaining to a would-be customer, that's what the thing depict to us. You see actually a lady who that dress actually in a similar, and I explaining, with product trial. Okay, that this is what we offer. So cool, with a cash opportunity, for it, you will be getting the 80, because for renters actually is fixed. Just about when you want to fix your rent, once you fix it for a year, this is rent you'll be collecting or do something, and because I told you that the way it operates, the special purpose vehicle, which is that particular company, which is that particular company that collects money on behalf of nominating company. Yes, I want us to take our barrel and pen. I won't be too technical, but just to give you an idea of how sukuk operates. Yes, sir. I will be brief as much as possible, but just to have an idea, I want us within this field, something we have discussed, for us to be able to discuss as professional outside that this is what actually Islamic finance relating to Islamic capital market sukuk, this is how it operates. I told you the last one, what federal government has been doing as far as Nigeria actually is concerned, as the sovereign sukuk they are doing is under Ijara contract, and they use it to finance road, bridges, and the rest that you have seen. I said the process is that the way sukuk actually operates is that the federal government that needed money, as far as everything, we call them actually, that's a nominating company, is the one that actually needed money at that point in time. And what do they want to do? They want to use it to finance a particular several roads. You've seen several roads they have done, and bridges. What they want to do that they did not actually approach experts. They now form an SPV, which is special purpose for vehicle. This is the company that stands actually in between. You now constantly be actually the issuer. And what they do basically actually is that the asset federal government actually has, because that new company, the asset, which is the road they have, will now be transferred to that particular company. So it is because it's that asset that investors is buying. I told you that investors, when you invest in sukuk, at that point in time, for whatever they want to do, it is that asset you are buying. The road existed before, we understand, but just as maybe they have invested or they want to expand them or to do everything. So they transfer that asset to that particular company. That you see sukuk for something actually company. You will have been seen as far as Nigeria is concerned. They are transferred to the call that one SPV. So it is this SPV, but meanwhile, since SPV, it came to federal government, but we see how the Sharia trustee that will be able to ascertain, that will stand between SPV and the investors, right? That what people do. But meanwhile, they ensure that first thing first, okay, road, okay, it is Sharia compliant. How do people get back their money back? Because ordinarily, I say it's supposed to be their assets that will bring back actually the money, as the case may be. But we have federal government realize that previous successful government have been negligent. They've not, infrastructure decay has been, on for a very long time. So federal government see that it is still their right, it is still their responsibility to make sure that they provide good roads to Nigerians. It is not actually lost, so they cannot afford to do that role. So how do they want to get money? They now use irreversible standing payment undertaking that, okay, from the part we are going to get you, we are mortgaging this particular amount of money, you understand, to the special purpose vehicle. So all those should be in place. So at any point in time, as far as anything that is Islamic, under Islamic capital market, must ensure that one party do not take an advantage and be able to now at the end of the day not give people actually money, their money they have collected back. So investor will now say, okay, we will invest. When they invest in this particular money, it is that money that they invest that they now use to take ownership of that particular road. But because they don't have expertise, the road they take actually, they don't have expertise to manage roads, and they don't have expertise to do that. It's federal government that need it. They now lease something, the same asset back released to the company as professionals. Okay, you need to construct actually this particular road, and since we are not throwing it to our renters they agree that, okay, the renter is going to be so amount, but I will split it every 6 months. I will be giving you so amount of as your renters. But however, if it's going to be for 7 years, you understand? By 7 years, the federal government, at that point in time, the asset that they lease to federal government, that road, everything now. I say, yes, we'll have someone that we are buying it for you now, for us to actually have it. So by the process of buying, the federal government will now give money, which is the full value, the face value, give back to actually to the investors. So that's how to operate, and the renters will have some as the profit they earn over 7 years or 5 years, depending on the tenure of it. So that's basically how Suku actually operate. And for the one that we have done in Nigeria for the past 7 years, so that's actually operate, is great, in great like that, up to the last one that was just did, and where it's been oversubscribed. Venture where the government actually want to now meet back the Sharia Advisory Council Committee and the trustee, and they ask, okay, well, we can still accommodate, but the Sharia Advisory Committee, the screening committee, will not want to advise them. You can't be requesting for just 200 million, for example, and you now see 1 billion. The difference, where do you want to do a place to actually to apply it? What are those? What are the representatives actually that look to the renters, and for you to buy it at face value, all those criteria actually will have to be done back, or else that money must be returned back to the investors and says until they issue another one that your money is part of those that's been actually being returned, as over subscription. So I believe actually with this few discussion we've spent close to 1.5 hours to allow for question and answer for us to come up. So at least to an extent, we'll be able to talk of Islamic investment service, what we're operating in Islamic capital market, and discuss as professionals. But it still go beyond this. But these are foundations. These are actually preliminaries. But once you understand these foundations, preliminaries, and I know all these concepts, then it is on this foundation that we'll be building, because see how further, investment address. So without much ado, I believe that from the few I've been able to discuss here, you will agree with me that the various investment instruments available under Islamic investment is still a better alternative. You see that all the activity that has been engaged in, equity, fairness, is being actually, and justice is being ensured. You don't collect money from somebody, and at the end of the day, you now be given actually an excuse to make sure that you financially is that Sharia scholars, even all these companies, maybe I didn't mention that, all these mutual company by regulations, once you actually just say, I am a fund manager and everything, all of them should have Sharia committee actually in place who was ascertain, what they are investing in, because they don't want institution, because as far as the Sharia scholars actually are concerned, and as far as Islamic concerned, they don't want somebody to use Swiss mark to collect somebody's money. And at the end of the day, you now be using the money to do something else. Somebody must be watching on behalf of something to ensure that, yes, so that we can promote the Islamic financial environment. I thank you all for your attention. I want to rest my case here. Thank you. Are you with me?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
We are with you, sir.
All right,
Please,
thank you.
my quick question.
Okay, good.
Based on what you have explained to us so far,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah is something that we are familiar with somehow. But my own basic concern is like Lotus Capital you mentioned at the initial.
Yeah.
The first time I met them to be around 2019.
Okay.
My surprise is about them being given the specific, let's say they are giving 5% in 3 months for the investment.
Okay.
How comply is that in terms of Islamic finance stuff? But
Okay.
judging by what we are doing in our own side,
Yeah.
people tend to ask that question.
Yeah.
Okay, which percentage are you giving? We stood on our own ground that no, as a profit making driven Sharia compliance,
Yeah.
we cannot say so percentage,
Yeah.
except we can only give you idea of what some people that have been partaking on in this with us,
Yeah.
we can have idea of what they have been getting, but that does not state it that that's what you are going to get.
Yeah.
But I am amazed that particularly Lotus Capital, when I knew them, they were giving specific 5%. How justifiable is that in Islamic setting?
All right. Thank you, brother Akim, for that question. You see that well, with the one that you had, it might be that at that point in time as a because they are the first started as a result of actually maybe pressure or desperation then. But I want to believe that for now, from their ratings and everything, because the ratings over 50 plus and they've really improved. When the first person is first starting actually newly, there will always be pressure, from actually these people that because investors will want to say I should bring my money. I want to go and withdraw. I want to go and withdraw this money from the confessional outfit. They are giving so amount. So how comes something? But even despite then, what is supposed to do is that from this investment that we have been doing and we have done before, this is the benchmark. Those that are invested, just like your own company, give that professional, advice and comments that those people who have invested before and all these investments that we have carried out. This is what we've been, our people have been earning, and we do not see anything, if you see any setback or any shock as far as the country is concerned. Vis-a-vis this investment, this company is still doing very, very well. Based on that benchmark, you can still be able to do, but not that it's being guaranteed. You understand? So it might be as of with the best actually that out of actually desperation that these people want something definite. But as far as Islamic concerned, Sharia is concerned, it has never changed. You don't guarantee capital, you don't guarantee actually return. It's about risk taking. Thank you. That's my response. Any other question? I expect more questions. That's why I've taken my time to be able to now. I'm always actually in dilemma to see okay to much I should give within the 1.5 and at the same time recognize my audience. I don't want to try not to be too technical, but at the same time basic things. Because I expect part of our objective is that after these 4 weeks, interaction, professional, actually, discussing Islamic finance, contract, and the rest. Yes, then I expect that all of us that partook actually in this training will be able to talk, competently outside. In fact, if we are seeing any company that want to recruit, as in special people that are actually coming on board, you should, I won't hesitate to recommend any of you actually as their marketer because you can effectively be able to talk on those basic one. Then other things that will now, because these are the foundations we'll discuss. So I expect more questions because I see us that some of us that are in platform, you have seen that just what we discussed last week, where everybody Akim Yurada suggested that we should be able to, they should rely on the system, on the platform, so that when the job opportunity comes, they will be able to advise. And you also, so those of you are in the platform that you will have seen from a message also from Sister Shakirat, where she, requested for a particular job opportunity because that's how it will be coming. here, and which is one of the reasons why our own company, undertook this Sadaka Jariya venture to make sure that our Muslim brothers and sisters here they benefit, And I believe that with these 4 weeks of interaction, you are different from somebody or people that have not in other, but they are just say, what are they doing? In fact, those of you that have attended something, you'll be able to even confuse our mothers and our fathers too. That for them, this is what Islamic finance is all about too. So that they also will go and assist Islamic banks on the ground who are saying that they don't have more of our Muslim entrepreneurs able to come and invest in them, start in their product. They will be coming now, more so. They are still coming. Your the interaction is still coming from a neutral person who has explained and thereby so that it will make the job of those that are being employed presently in those bank marketer for them for the job to be easy. And through that, we have also contribute our quota towards the development of actually Islamic finance and Islam in general. So I want more questions.
Okay, someone's hand is up. I think Akimi Yoda is raising his hand.
No, I think he asked this question now. Okay, but I think that you see another one. But I think that I think he raised the hand earlier before the question.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. But I think that you see another question.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
It's not a question per se. I just want to, if there is any of our sisters or brother that we are together,
Yeah.
within now and January, there's going to be opening in our own company also for marketers. So in case,
Okay.
for in Abuja specifically.
Okay.
So if there's anybody that's interested, they can private chat me.
Okay.
That's in Abuja.
Okay. No takafura.
Yes, no takafu. Yes, no
Okay.
takafu.
Then for the benefit of those that have not attended but they have been following the trend, so when the opportunity comes also, you also send on the platform. I've discussed with the administrator that you should put the guidelines there that if it's for advertisement and something related to Islamic finance training, they can actually share there so that we don't want to show where the place is being plugged and everybody will lose out about important things. So I'm just actually they will done that relaxation so that at least whoever want to send something, job placement to the platform, we can be able to now do that so that others will benefit too. There are other people too who, for one reason or the other, they had the intention for them to participate in this training. Yes, and they some have registered, but they could not actually, be here actively because of other commitment here and there. But some have been going through the slides and and the position and the recording that we have sent. So that for them to benefit too. So I will see, I appreciate that we'll see the sending on the platform and so that more people can benefit and since, as I said, our mandate is that we want as much of our Muslim brothers and sisters for them to show this interest, and they'll be able to fully engage and earn this sustainable living. We see that it's not something that's very hard and it's going, you'll be able to convince people that it's go beyond just changing profit to changing interest to profit, practical, what will affect the real economy, the real economy that is what will affect it. That's what Islamic finance is all about. Any other question? Any other question I'm expecting? Or do you want me to ask my own question? You want me to ask my question? Can somebody just tell us at least from what we discussed actually so far? Just what's your own understanding about Islamic investment and relating to, we discussed banking and insurance before, that now relating to Islamic capital market, the various options. Just a little understanding, and so that I think from there I told us actually that there will be an evaluation, program, for us to be able to now and assess and gauge our understanding. It's good that I say we understand that. So, is there anybody that want to just shed light of what he or she has actually learned so far? So, okay, should I say that everything is well understood? And by that we'll get the slide and the recording. We'll still be able to face the evaluation test. So, but inshallah, this will arrange and we'll communicate on the platform where we are going to have our evaluation, our test, for us to get our understanding. So that will determine, what level the next stage will take. Why do we actually go about it now? Because this is what we have done now is just the foundation. That's why I don't. The issue of school too. You see that I only just discuss briefly. You understand? I don't go into the issue of actually diagram and direct to now. You actually understand. That was you see you to now discuss further. Then we now start going to Sharia standard. Sharia standard and Sharia governance. Sharia auditing standard. We have standard just so what are those? I hope what I've heard about IOFI, which is that standard body setting body. So they come up with the standard that we have now is over 70, if I'm not actually not mistaken. Different on each of the products contract that we have as far as Islamic finance is concerned. And they not did only when they went into even Islamic social finance, issue of zakat, sadaqah, and waqf, accounting principle, the rest. So, well, this is just the foundation. What we have discussed now is just the foundation, for us to now have an idea. So once we know the foundation, then for us to now be able to now start applying them, going to how their books, how should we record those activities that we want to engage in through contract? How do we now record them in our books? For you to actually to meet both financial reporting standard and I hope you actually standard. So, but basically, I hope you actually standard actually is actually the most actually priority, because we see where, let me give financial instances. Islamic finance actually recognize that money is not a commodity, but just a medium of exchange. So you bring money to an Islamic finance, you are coming to trade in it. So you are participating in equity. When they do your finance, when the bank do their financial, you are an equity holder. But meanwhile, when it comes to Islamic bank customers, they look at you and say that say you are just part of their customers, as part of their just they put you under their liability. But whereas you are part of actually equity holder, part of the investors of that particular company. So you see from the concepts, the basic we have learned, it will also translate in the book of accounting. So you see that we are blessed to have Sharia as the guiding principle under Islamic finance, and we'll continue that issue of equity, fairness, and justice. Any other comment? So if there's no other comment, maybe we should call it a day because it's almost 9 minutes to 12. I think the plan is just to operate between 10 and 12 before. So you don't have any other comment and everything. Yeah. So who want to actually to lead us in closing dua? A brother started with us, started the opening prayer with us, and maybe we should, among our sisters, the ladies, and they should give us the closing dua. Who is being led by the Spirit?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the absence of our sisters, probably they are so
No,
not on
there's
call
no
presently.
absence. I was about coming up. Can I have the floor now? Okay.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah,
you have
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. We thank Almighty Allah who has brought us to the end of today's session. We pray that He guides and guides us. We also pray that He gives us a very retentive memory to be able to process everything we've learned about Islamic banking and be able to put it to good use. Even if some of us will not be working with it, I was actually following through because I started to look into some portfolios as regards halal investments. So we pray that He guides our path towards the right direction, helps us,
Amen.
and for those who would want to have this as their own source of income, may Allah guide them.
Amen.
Surah Al-Fatiha, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. So
Amen.
I want to actually appreciate your time, sir, for taking us through this. Earlier when you were messaging me, I was asleep, being a weekend, I know. So, and we hope that the few members we've had that have been joining this call will maximize it. And Almighty Allah will bless you abundantly, sir. Thank you, sir.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. Thank God for the glory. Alhamdulillah. So, in the absence of anything, I actually need to call it today. So, hopefully, we'll see at another episode. We'll communicate on the platform. But inshallah, we should all look forward to having an evaluation test. It's what we have discussed in the last 4 years, 4 weeks that we're going to discuss. You know, we'll complete on the platform. At least all the slides and the recording will be sent and will give us enough time for us to go through, what we want to discuss. So that at least we just, I will post in the evaluation. It might be also through Zoom, just for one in a particular week. Just actually advise us and then be able to now gauge our understanding so that from there that we now know what level and what stage are we going to actually start with for the next stage. Inshallah. So I think Brother Akim and Brother Aliu Alausa is they are raising their hand, right? Okay, Brother Aliu Alausa first. Can we hear you? Brother Aliu Alausa, do you want to make comments? Okay. If he's not there, what about Brother Akim Yoda? Do you want to make comments?
Yes, sir, I want to. This is Aliu Alausa, sir.
Okay, all right, good.
I'm sorry, I actually came so late to the meeting. I saw the notice, but I didn't. I saw it very late. I just joined now. I want to ask of the frequency of the lecture. Is it a weekly affair or something? But I think from the statement I heard you now, because I only heard when Sister, I joined when Sister Biazi was offering the, I think, suspension dua.
Okay.
Yes. So I heard you that you are planning to organize a session that will give us that will be an assessment
Yeah,
stuff.
sure, inshallah. Yes.
So
Of what we
which
discussed.
indicates that probably the program has ended? The
Yes, the first
training.
stage. Yeah.
Okay.
The first stage that is because we started this program on the 25th of October, if I'm not mistaken. That's when we started it. We started actually the program. We've had 4 sessions now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we have the glory of God, and we want to. I will advise to Sister Jackie actually on the platform when just for us to prepare that. Okay, we'll be having an evaluation session for us to get an understanding of all what we have actually discussed in the last actually 4 weeks, so that complicated actually. So when we now have that, it's based on our, the outcome that will now determine the next level, how we handle the next level because this is just, all the OFI standard I've discussed here is just on periphery, it's
Yes,
not going
yes.
to the accounting actually is being the books actually have been prepared, I'll do something and some of us are not hardcore to actually work in any bank before. We are just starting. Inshallah, we
Yes.
plan, but okay, when you assuming you have been employed, as a marketer or a customer service person, what is the next thing? So you need to know about the products. What are those various documentation that you need to ask a customer that want to
Right.
open a current account, all those stuff. So, but before
Yes,
we go
yes.
to that particular stage, we need to first gauge this foundation. To what extent have you understood those concepts? That we have already discussed. So, inshallah,
Thank you very much, sir.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. Let's thank God.
Yes, sir.
All right, but Hakim, do you still want to ask any question? Okay. There's no other question. So, but Hakim actually is actually around, and it's almost 2 minutes to 12 now. So I thank you all once again for listening. May Allah continue to guide us, and our prayer is that most of us should be able to earn a living through this our discussion. And we want to actually to make sure that the majority of you become a professional of record as far as Islamic finance is concerned in the nearest
Ami.
future. Amen.
Ami. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakumullah, sir.
Wa yakum.